Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we're bringing news of the new GSA meeting this Friday, Russian aircraft buzzing an American destroyer, the latest election news, today's KZGN Talking Points editorial, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Well, the next meeting on the formation of our local groundwater sustainability agency is this Friday. It'll be at the Ridgecrest City Hall. It'll start at 5 p.m. and go to about 7 p.m. People all over are still discussing our water overdraft problem. One person found a document showing the 9 criteria that are required to create a successful GSA. It was interesting and useful. It will be interesting to see if the elected eligible agencies have included these in their draft JPA forming the Groundwater Sustainability Agency. So if you're interested in the formation of this new water agency, plan on attending this Friday, 5 p.m., Ridgecrest City Hall. And big news from the Navy today is an event that happened recently. 2 Russian attack planes flew dangerously close to a U.S. Navy destroyer in the Baltic Sea on Monday and Tuesday, defense officials said. The crew of the USS Donald Cook radioed to the 2 Russian Su-24 attack planes during the incident. But the Russian jets, which appeared to be unarmed, did not respond.
All right, look at the guy to port. Look at the left one. He is on the deck. On the deck, below the bridge wing. Over the bow, right turn, over the bow. Looks like you may come across the flight deck. Coming in low, bridge wing level. Bridge wing level. Below the bridge wing. Below the bridge wing.
U.S. officials said these actions were unsafe and unprofessional and described them as among the most aggressive acts by the Russians in some time. The official said that the Russian planes created a wake in the water because they flew so close and low. A Russian Ka-27 helicopter also made 7 passes on the destroyer and was believed to be photographing the ship. The U.S. official says that the Cook was clearly in international waters at the time of the incident, explaining that they were operating about 70 miles from Kaliningrad, a Russian province. Russian warplanes have increasingly tested international boundaries in recent years by buzzing near or in the airspace of other nations. In October, Russian warplanes flew near the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier in the Sea of Japan, and the Navy was forced to send U.S. fighter jets in response. It is reported that the jets came within 75 feet of the destroyer, and military combat experts are saying the jets were using the incident of practice attacks against the ship. The profiles they flew were attack profiles. Earlier, the Russians had sent out a helicopter to film the destroyer. It circled the destroyer for quite a while before leaving. So it too was probing the destroyer, getting information of the ship, its weapon systems, and defensive systems. This is pure intelligence gathering on the part of the Russians, and they're putting it out there for the world to see. Sometime after the helicopter is when the Russian fighter jets came in for the simulated attacks. News commentators are saying this is clearly another show of no respect of the United States by the Russians. That they know the current administration has no inclination to challenge the Russians. One official said they haven't seen these situations since the Cold War. Clearly, the Russians are probing our defensive technology and techniques. That is what this is all about. It's about finding our weaknesses, so they can be used against us in the event of a real attack. It will be interesting to see how these provocations enter into the presidential campaigns. There is even some speculation that the Pentagon wasn't going to put this out yet, until they discovered the Russian news service was already putting out the news. Well, what's news in the elections? Trump and Clinton are showing huge leads in the next election, which will be New York. At stake are 95 delegates for the Republicans and 247 delegates for the Democrats. New York polls clearly show Trump with 54%, Kasich with 21%, and Cruz with 18%. If Trump gets over 50% in the election, he could take all the delegates. If he is under 50%, the delegates could be proportioned off. For the Democrats, the polls show Clinton leading with 55% to Sanders with 41%. But polls do show some closing in of the margins for Sanders. For Democrats, the current delegate count is Clinton with 1,287 and Sanders with 1,037. The current delegate count for the Republicans show Trump with 743, to Cruz with 545, and Kasich with 143 delegates. In news from the Kern County Libraries, we get this announcement. The Kern County Library is hosting a Volunteen event. It'll happen Friday, April 15th and Saturday, April 16th. It'll be at all Kern County Library branches, including the Ridgecrest branch. Are you a teen looking to fulfill service hours? Are you ready to make a difference in your community? This two-day event will allow teens to earn service hours. This is in celebration of National Library Week. The Kern County Library is celebrating the dynamic changes that are happening in today's libraries. Service to the community has always been the focus of our library, and we look forward to hosting our first ever countywide teen volunteer effort, says Nancy Kerr, Director of Libraries. National Volunteer Week, which coincides with National Library Week, is the perfect opportunity to welcome teens and invite them to our Volunteen project, where they will have the opportunity to make our library sparkle, says Andy Apple, Assistant Director of Libraries. Teens 13 and up can assist with many activities, including organizing shelves, cleaning books, wiping down computer stations, and picking up trash around our buildings. If you are interested, stop by any Kern County Library branch that is open Friday, April 15th or Saturday, April 16th to participate. Library staff will be ready for your help. Sounds like a great idea for teens to get involved and volunteer. Well, in case anyone has forgotten, Friday is April 15th, Tax Day. I'm glad mine are all done. I do all my own tax returns, personal and corporate. But for those of you that like to wait till the last minute to do taxes, Friday is it. You better get her done. Now stay with us. After the break, we'll have the KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Thanks for staying with us. Now it's time for the 135th KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Here's today's topic. As we hear about delegate battles, is it time to get rid of the delegate and electoral college system of elections? Well, as the presidential campaigns march along, we are now hearing about the possibly corrupt delegate system in both parties. And they both have problems. The problem is rooted in power. Plain and simple, power. Trump is making charges of unfair delegate distribution by the RNC rules. And what he says makes sense. And then the Democrats have the superdelegates. Good grief. These are nothing more than establishment hacks that toe the party line and exert power over the candidates. Why do the rules make a distribution of delegates where the person that wins the popular vote for the whole state can be awarded less delegates than the loser in the state? Now, before someone proclaims, I need to read the rules for that determination, I declare I have read the rules. I understand them, and I do understand how that can happen. But is it right? I cannot fathom a set of rules that allows the popular vote winner to get less delegates than the loser. Any set of rules should be made with this first number one rule. The winner of the state's popular vote must get at least one more delegate than the next placing candidate in the process. At least one more. And probably more than that based on percentage points. The popular vote has to stand for something. It has to be the main factor in awarding delegates. If there is a rule of proportion delegates, then the formula must be set in a manner to allow the winner of the popular vote to get more delegates than any other candidate. This world of superdelegates and formulas that seem to favor certain types of candidates has got to go. Now let me be clear on this popular vote notion though. The main reason that some states have set up this unusual distribution of calculating delegates has merit. The rule is meant to solve a similar problem we have in California. And we are not alone. Distribution formulas are set up to balance the power of large popular voting areas of a state to the lesser populated areas. It is meant to balance the power for all the voters. But that formula must be appropriate, and too often, party officials have the formula set to allow them to make major decisions concerning who actually serves as a delegate. Like the Colorado Trump delegate that got replaced by the Colorado party chief with a Cruz supporting delegate. That is just flat wrong, period. Too few people making the decisions on who our candidate should be. Power. It's all about power. Power equals money. And eventually, we get to the real election. Then we get to the Electoral College. Just imagine this. Consider how the establishment is fighting against Trump and Sanders nominations. Just consider for a moment both of them ultimately winning the nominations. Then we have a Sanders-Trump election. Now, I'm not going to get into the who would win it. That is not the purpose of this editorial. We have Sanders against Trump. Also consider there is no real viable third-party candidate. Now here comes the Electoral College. These are the people that ultimately elect the president. There are 538 Electoral College votes. This too is a power setup. While these electoral votes are supposed to vote in accordance with their own state's popular vote, they don't have to. Each state again has their own rules how these people can vote. That's why it's possible to have a president win the election that did not get the majority of the popular vote. So what happens if the majority of these electoral voters don't want either Trump or Sanders? Do they put up their own third-party candidate? Think about it. I won't go any further into that prospect now, but just think about it. Now back to the current situation in the primaries. I agree that the states have to have a way to distribute the delegates in a fair manner. Some states are winner-take-all, but most states have some formula to distribute the delegates. Right now I hear the RNC is currently refiguring the South Carolina delegate distribution. This is in an effort to deny Trump the amount he won there. Are you kidding me? How powerful is this establishment? I think they are much more powerful than any of us outsiders ever imagined. I mean, I stay pretty close to political actions, but what is happening now is even more than I imagined. All of you out there have got to understand, this Washington power battle is momentous. Both parties appear to have candidates that are not part of that power system, and they are not going to easily accept this loss of power. They will fight tooth and nail to the end, even to the destruction of their own party. You ask, why would they let their party destruct? It's actually very simple, because they would rather lose an election and a party than lose the power. If they destroy the party, they'll just build a new one for the next election. A new party they control. While they will say on every talk show they value the people's vote. No, they don't. If they did, they wouldn't be fighting the vote of the people now so hard. Again, it's all about power. They seem willing to sacrifice the country and circumvent the will of the people, just as long as they maintain their power. Well, the question of this editorial is it time to get rid of the current delegate and electoral college systems? Well, we'll discuss the electoral college later this year, but the current delegate primary system can't go away. But I believe formulas for delegate distribution needs to have more emphasis on we the people's votes. The candidate with the most popular votes must at least get one more delegate than any other losing candidates. The people's vote has to mean something. In conclusion, the power in Washington is now out there for all of us to see, and these elitists are not going to give it up easily. And this is about both parties. We, the people, have to take back the control. It's time. I'm Tom Windick, and that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. If you have any comments about this editorial, or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Now, coming up after the break, we'll have weather and sports. Thanks for staying with us. Here's Lane with the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, heavy rain and thunderstorms will move across portions of Florida and the southeast. Localized flash flooding is possible. Heavy rain is also possible for parts of the Pacific Northwest. The higher elevations of the Cascades will see heavy snowfall. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas at 58, Georgia at 66, Arkansas at 64, Northern Texas at 74, Arizona at 80, and Los Angeles at 66. And for us locally, tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 48, west-northwest wind 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts as high as 45. Friday, sunny with a high near 72, southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 40. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 50, north-northwest wind 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts as high as 40. Saturday, sunny with a high near 82, north wind 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 25. Saturday night, clear with a low around 53, north wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Sunday, sunny with a high near 84, northeast wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Sunday night, mostly clear with low around 54, east-northeast wind 5 miles per hour. And Monday, sunny with a high near 85, north wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Thursday afternoon to everyone. Let's talk about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, maybe the greatest Laker of all time. There were many great Lakers, but Kobe Bryant's got a rank amongst the top. The all-time leading scorer for the Lakers, the all-time leading three-point scorer for the Lakers, and a very good defensive player with a whole bunch of assists. Well, 20 years with the Lakers. Last night was his last game of the season. Of course, a Hollywood script. Kobe Bryant, who had a high this year of 31 points, scores 6-0 last night in his final game at Staples against the Utah Jazz. Now, for a while it looked like kind of a summer league game. It was more of a kickback atmosphere and both teams out of the playoffs. But Utah had a lot more to play for because if they would have won, they'd have had a 500 record. They'd have been 41-41. Quinn Snyder, their second-year head coach, really wanted the W. Kobe Bryant, the Lakers were down the whole game. Bryant went crazy at the end, nailed about 5 threes down the stretch, and the Lakers got the win, and Kobe Bryant goes out on top of his game just like he came in. 60 points, and that leads all scorers this year in the NBA for a single game. How about that? Wow. Golden State won last night. They got the record 73 wins in one season. Incredible. They defeat Oklahoma City up in Oakland, and now they'll be the top seed in the West. 73 wins on the year. That beats the Bulls record set back in '96. All right. Good day for the Angels. They sweep the Athletics. They win all three up there on Wednesday. And also Wednesday night, the Dodgers get a win over Arizona. All right, Saracoso on the road today, Thursday. They'll take on Rio Hondo later this afternoon. And Saturday, they'll be back again for a noon game. That'll be the third game of the 3-game set. Let's talk about the 5th grade basketball league last night. Let's look at the winners. For the boys, the Charter Falcons win again. Fowler wins. Inyo Kern and Las Flores. Las Flores undefeated. Over on the girls' side, Gateway, Fowler, Inyo Kern, and Las Flores all get wins on the 5th grade basketball league. 2 more weeks of that left in the final tournament. And don't forget about the big sports dinner on the 7th of May at Saracoso. For information, you can call 760-384-6384. That be your sports for this Thursday. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. Also at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk, coming up next.